Hi, I'm Tyler. Happy Good Friday. And welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, be it LCPs or singles, and after I'm listening to them all week, I come back here and repeat them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. Michael W. Smith's new single, Arms Around the Sun. So before I dive into my thoughts on Michael W. Smith's new single, Arms Around the Sun, let me just say how I came to review this single. So I thank my mom for texting me Michael W. Smith's Instagram post on single release morning, where he shared that he collaborated with Jonathan Roumie, who plays Jesus on The Chosen, as the drummer on this track. Excuse me. Anyhow, my mom, liking Michael W. Smith and The Chosen, and knowing that I like Michael W. Smith and The Chosen myself, excitedly texted me the post. She didn't mean as a request, but, well, considering she texted it to me, I decided to take it as one. So thanks, Mom, for giving me the idea to review the single. Pretty good song here. Michael W. Smith does a good job singing, and Jonathan Roumie, on his part, does a good job drumming. Stylistically, definitely an upbeat pop song, and as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here about the struggle to understand how glorious God's love is. And as for the lyrics here, Michael W. Smith talks about how he struggles to understand how glorious God's love is in being with him in sadness to change him to have life. Up next, Tommee Profitt and Sam Tinnesz-The's new collaborative album, The Fall. Tommee Profitt and Sam Tinnesz-The's new collaborative album, The Fall, with Tommee Profitt on production and Sam Tinnesz on vocals. Let's dive into it. So pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely lean towards the upbeat alternative pop rock side. That can have a little bit of alternative hard rock influence at times, and a little bit of folk influence at times as well. There are a few ballads here that keep the alternative influence and can either be pop alternative or alternative rock, depending on which ballad. And that is for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. So, the lyrics do a really good job of retelling the story of Adam and Eve's fall into sin, and with that, all of humanity's fall into sin, and really shares the sad truth of what sin does. It does cause death. It causes us to hide and be distant from God's love that's pursuing us. But, that being said, I also do appreciate how the last couple songs on the album talk about the hope that is found in Jesus' blood, saving us from that. So, as for the lyrics here, Tommee Profitt and Sam Tinnesz talk about how Adam and Eve used to be safe in the Garden of Eden until temptation's desire weakened their resistance and made them pridefully fall into sin that will cause them to hopelessly, destructively fade into death and cause them to be exiled from the Garden of Eden and left them hiding and distant from God's life-giving love pursuing them, and how they need Jesus' blood to save them from that so they can come back to God. Up next, Benjamin William Hastings' new album, How I'd Sing It on a Sunday, from the studio. Former Hillsong United member Benjamin William Hastings' new solo album, How I'd Sing It on a Sunday, from the studio. Let's dive into it. But before I do, let's take a time to look at the track list here. What's on the track list here? So a few songs are reimagined versions of tracks from his previous album, Sold Out Sincerely, that I also reviewed on this channel, and you go back and check that out after we're done. But he's also put his own spin on a couple of songs that he helped other artists make, including Cody Carnes' Take You at Your Word, and Brandon Lake's That's Who I Praise. And Benjamin William Hastings also goes back to the Hillsong Past a little bit and covers Lord, I Give You My Heart, and even brings Reuben Morgan to sing on it with him. Now we'll dive into my thoughts on the album itself here. So, pretty good overall, I would say. I actually, even though I liked his past albums, to be clear, I was like, okay, they're good from a reviewing standpoint, but I don't know if I'd go back and listen to these albums all the time on my own. But I kind of like the more contemporary emphasis on this, contemporary worship emphasis on this album a little bit. And I think enjoyed this a little bit more than albums I reviewed of his in the past. Stylistically, overall, definitely a collection of contemporary alternative worship ballads. So we still hear the soft alternative elements in there, but we do hear, I think, more contemporary than we usually hear from Benjamin. So overall, collection of contemporary alternative worship ballads, but there are a couple of upbeat moments too. An upbeat alternative pop rock worship moment in Take You at Your Word, and then an upbeat contemporary folk pop worship feel on That's Who I Praise. That's Who I Praise is where my only critique's gonna come. So, I like the way Brandon Lake sings the chorus better than Benjamin William Hastings, because Benjamin does it in a little more of a chill way. That's who I pray. I'm gonna praise. While Brandon Lake does it with a little more enthusiasm. I'm gonna praise. I'm gonna praise. But overall, again, pretty good album from Benjamin. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here too. Benjamin William Hastings talks about how he still desires to surrender all his heart to gratefully praise and reflect Jesus for how in his love he has been faithfully good through his blood and his sacrificial death on the cross and through his resurrection, to be with Benjamin, to keep his promise, to guide Benjamin to freedom from sin, and guide Benjamin in chaos to have life of peace through his word. Through God's word. Up next, Planetshakers' new EP, Easter. Planetshakers' new EP, Easter. Let's dive into it. Before I do, let's take a look what's on the track list on this album. So 1 new song, In Communion, and 3 reimagined tracks. And Worthy is the Lamb, The Greatest Name, and I Remember. Now let's dive my thoughts on the EP. So on the first listen, I was kind of a little more so-so on it. But by the second listen, I was like, you know what? This is actually a pretty good EP. So, good EP. Stylistically here, so usually Planetshakers has a balance of upbeat and ballad moments, but for Easter, they decided to keep to the contemporary alternative worship ballad sound here, which is fitting. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Planetshakers talk about forever praising and gratefully remembering how Jesus showed the greatest love when he shed his blood in his sacrificial death on the cross, and victoriously resurrected to save us free from sin, to have life of joyful victory, and a peaceful, united relationship with God. And Jesus also did that to come back, also resurrected to come back again to gloriously reign forever. Up next, our last release for today, Life.Church Worship's new album, The Way. Life.Church Worship's new album, The Way. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely a contemporary worship album that lean slightly toward the ballad side of things, but definitely have some upbeat moments too. The contemporary worship sound also has quite a bit of pop rock influence, I felt like. And then there was some alternative influence as well a little bit later on in the album. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here too. Life.Church Worship talks about how Jesus is worthy of us, surrendering all our lives to joyfully, gratefully praise Him for how we can hope in His love, to be faithfully, undeservingly good, to be with us, to redeem us free from sin and death through His blood in His sacrificial death on the cross, and through His resurrection to have new life as God's children who proclaim the truth of Jesus' love, even in hard times of uncertainty, that we trust Him to miraculously make a way for peace and victory in. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what's on this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's releases or what I said about them, let me know down in the comments below. Also in the comments, you can let me know if there's any awesome releases that came out today that you want to see in next week's video. Also, check out the playlist section for the playlist section on YouTube. And if you want the Spotify link, go to my community tab for that. For my Music Month Stream playlist. And this month's edition of the playlist includes songs from artists like K Diamond, Breno, A$AP Preach, Coop, and others. So go and check that out if you're interested. Well, before I go, just wanted to wish you a happy Good Friday today. And a happy Resurrection Sunday in 3 days. And hope the songs I reviewed today remind you to praise Jesus for His great love in saving us through the shedding of His blood and through His resurrection. And also, may these songs challenge you in light of that. These songs I reviewed today challenge you in light of what He's done for us to surrender our lives to praising Him. Let's do it. We'll see you next week. Happy Resurrection Sunday. Happy Good Friday. Bye.